Caesar is a man of striking looks with a fit, athletic body. One morning he wakes up to a soft voice, a girl whispering, telling him to open his eyes. Confused but curious, Caesar slowly blinks and opens his eyes. As he does, he feels a strange sense of calm, almost like he's waking from a dream. He gets up and takes a long, refreshing shower. Afterward, he hops into his old Volkswagen Beetle and heads into the city. The streets are familiar, but something feels off. Quiet, eerily empty. As Caesar drives around, he suddenly realizes he's completely alone. No people, no cars, just silence. His heart races. In panic, he smashes his car window and steps out. The city is deserted, and he's the only one left. Desperate, he walks aimlessly, calling out for anyone, any stranger, friend, anyone at all, but no response. His hope fades into despair. He keeps walking, feeling more lost than ever, until finally, he wakes up again. This time, he's in his bedroom, and beside him sleeps a woman. Caesar quickly gets ready, startled but relieved that it was just a nightmare. As he does, the girl wakes up, yawning softly. Caesar, annoyed, tells her not to record her voice as an alarm. He hates the sound. She giggles and stretches, and he leaves the house in his car to start his day. On the road, he spots his friend Pelayo and pulls over to pick him up. They plan to meet their usual routine, playing squash, catching up, and relaxing. But as the day goes on, Caesar's mind drifts to darker thoughts. He starts to feel strange, disconnected from reality. Suddenly, he finds himself in a dark, cold prison cell, curled up in the corner like a stray animal hiding from the rain. He's talking to a psychiatrist, trying to explain what's happening. Caesar wears a prosthetic mask that covers his face, a mask hiding a face he once was proud of. Years ago, he was rich, handsome, a real chick magnet. Women loved him, and he loved the attention. His days were filled with parties, girls in his bed every night. But everything changed after a fateful night. At his birthday party, he met Sophia, the girl of his best friend Pelayo. Despite knowing she was Pelayo's girl, Caesar couldn't resist. He flirted, hit on her in a separate room, and later took her home. Though they didn't do anything intimate that night, his obsession with her grew. The next day, Caesar's obsessive girlfriend Nuria picks him up in her shiny red car. She's dressed perfectly, matching her dress and car. But suddenly, she gets angry. Her mood shifts and she speeds up, crashing the car intentionally. She wants to die with Caesar, her love. Caesar survives the crash, but he's badly disfigured. His face is destroyed. The man who once loved himself now hates his reflection. He seeks help from doctors, but modern medicine can't fix his face. The surgeons tell him it's impossible to restore his previous look. Caesar feels hopeless, so he chooses to wear a mask every day, hiding his disfigurement from the world. Now he stalks Sophia, obsessed and unable to let go. When he finally musters the courage to approach her, she's terrified. She tells him to stay away. Scared of his masked, broken figure, once a confident, charming man, Caesar is now haunted by his reflection. The trauma, medication, and the accident blur his sense of reality. His mind creates illusions, and he begins to hallucinate. One night, he meets Pelayo in a bar. He tries to talk to Sophia, but she ignores him, acting distant. Caesar, overwhelmed, drinks heavily. He's angry, hurt, and drunk, and as they leave, Pelayo suddenly claims he forgot to pick up his bike from the other side of the building. Caesar notices Pelayo running away from him. Heartbroken, Caesar chases after him but can't catch up. Exhausted and broken, he collapses on the street and falls unconscious. The next morning, Caesar wakes up. To his horror, he sees Nuria's face staring at him, and he screams in terror. But then, unexpectedly, Sophia appears. She kisses his forehead and whispers she loves him. They walk together in a park, holding hands, and Caesar begins to think he's lived this scene before. Sophia tells him it's just a glitch in the Matrix, a strange, surreal moment. Back in the present, Caesar sits in a cold interrogation room, talking to Dr. Antonio, his psychiatrist. Caesar is frustrated and wants out, but the doctor explains he can't leave because he's facing murder charges. Caesar is confused. He doesn't remember killing anyone or why he's in trouble. Dr. Antonio mentions that Caesar kept repeating the name L.E. in his sleep, but Caesar has no idea who that is. His memories are hazy. He recalls only signing some papers in an office and nothing else. As Caesar tells his story, he mentions that the same doctors who refused to perform cosmetic surgery now say they can fix his face. Miraculously, the surgery is successful. Caesar's face is restored to its former handsome glory, and his confidence begins to return. His best friend Pelayo starts acting normal around him again, and Caesar begins to heal mentally. One night, Sophia shows up at Caesar's house, excited to see his face restored. She spends the night with him, and they share an intimate moment. But in the middle of the night, Caesar wakes up to use the bathroom. It's dark, and he turns on the light. To his horror, he sees his disfigured face staring back at him. He screams and runs around the room in panic. Sophia, frightened, also reacts in fear. Caesar, overwhelmed, jumps on her. But then suddenly, he wakes up, back in his bed with his perfect face. It was just a terrifying hallucination. As Caesar gets up and goes to the bathroom again, he sees that Sophia has transformed into Nuria. Shocked and enraged, he attacks her, tying her to his bed. Nuria keeps insisting she's not Nuria, but Sophia. Caesar, confused and furious, questions her about how she's alive. He remembers she was in that car crash and should be dead. He takes Nuria to the police to report her missing, trying to explain everything. But the officers dismiss his story. They think Nuria is actually Sophia, and the girl Caesar sees isn't real. Frustrated and feeling misunderstood, Caesar leaves the station in anger, grabbing his jacket. As he walks down the hall, he sees Pelayo coming toward him, furious, and warning him to stay away from Sophia. Everyone keeps calling Nuria Sophia, and Caesar feels like something is deeply wrong. Confused and heartbroken, he notices Pelayo handing him a photo, one showing Caesar and Nuria hugging at a restaurant. The picture confirms that something strange is happening, but Caesar can't understand what's real anymore. Caesar was confused. He kept thinking about someone named Sophia, a girl he was told he knew, but he soon realized she never actually existed. It was all just a strange illusion. His mind felt like it was slipping away, blending what was real and what was a dream. Frustrated and overwhelmed, Caesar decided to go to a bar to clear his head. He stepped inside, took a seat, and ordered a drink. As he sat there, an old man approached him and greeted him kindly. The man looked wise and calm. Without wasting any time, he said, "I can help you with your problems." Caesar looked at him, confused. The old man explained that Caesar was having trouble telling what was real and what was a fantasy. Everything Caesar was experiencing, he said, was just a dream. The people around him, they were just figments of his imagination. And right now, Caesar was lost in a dream he had created himself. The old man told Caesar that the only way to fix his mind was to control it. He explained that Caesar's mind was confused because he believed he was awake, but he was actually dreaming. The people around him weren't real. They were just illusions he had brought into his dream. When Caesar looked around the bar, he saw everyone staring at him. He suddenly felt like a lost child in a supermarket, overwhelmed and unsure of what was real. At that moment, Caesar's mind drifted back to a different scene. Antonio, a friend, was hypnotizing him, asking about his dreams. Caesar described a vague memory. A woman's secretary named L.E. sent him into a room for a meeting with an old man in a suit. The details were blurry, but he remembered that the old man was the same one from the bar, the one who had told him he was dreaming. Caesar said the old man asked him to sign some documents. After the hypnosis, Antonio looked tired and skeptical. "You might have taken some drugs," he said. "That could explain your illusions and hallucinations. Maybe that's what caused your confusion." Caesar suddenly remembered something terrible. Nuria, a girl he had killed. He realized she was not Sophia. Nuria was someone he had mistaken for her, and now she was gone. Antonio, growing bored, decided to leave. He said Caesar's case wasn't proving anything and that he couldn't help him anymore. The next day, Caesar was sitting in a prison hall watching TV. Suddenly, he heard a voice. His eyes widened as he saw the old man from the bar on the screen. It was the same man who had told him he was dreaming. That's when Caesar remembered. When he fell unconscious outside the club, he went to a place called Life Extension, a company that specialized in cryonics, or freezing people to preserve them for the future. Caesar's mind raced. He remembered that Life Extension offered something called lucid dreaming, an experience where people could live in a dream world for eternity. They froze patients and kept them in a dream state, where they could live forever happy and free from pain. Everything they experienced was fake, a perfect illusion. The company erased the memory of death from their minds so they wouldn't even know they had died. It was almost like living forever in a virtual world. Antonio decided to visit the company with Caesar after getting permission from the prison. Inside, they found a manager who handed them a file. It explained that people who chose cryonics didn't really survive, they were just put into a deep sleep, living in a virtual paradise while their bodies were frozen. When they woke up, they wouldn't remember dying or being frozen. It was a way to cheat death, to stay in a dream forever. Caesar was shaken. He felt like everything around him was a lie. The truth was, he wasn't truly alive. He was just a character in his own mind, an NPC, a puppet in a vast dream. The manager of the company told him that when Caesar fainted outside the club, he had signed a contract to be frozen. That night, Caesar had taken his own life. The doctors had erased the memory of his death, and now he was living inside a fake world, a never-ending dream. Feeling overwhelmed, Caesar and Antonio went into a room. Caesar started pacing, trying to prove that he was trapped inside a dream. Antonio tried to convince him otherwise, explaining that what Caesar was experiencing was real. This wasn't a dream, but Caesar refused to believe him. He didn't want to accept the truth. Antonio begged him to remove his mask so he could see his real face. Finally, Caesar hesitated and pulled off his mask. What he saw shocked him. His face was disfigured, scars across his cheeks, and his left eye nearly gone. He was terrified to look in a mirror. Antonio tried to comfort him, telling Caesar he was still handsome, but Caesar was trembling. He covered his face, overwhelmed with fear and confusion. Suddenly, Caesar decided to leave. He tried to escape the building, but police officers stopped him. They drew their guns and told him not to run. Caesar, terrified and desperate, started to threaten the officers with a gun. They shot him, and Caesar collapsed. Just as the bullet hit him, Antonio appeared out of nowhere. He pushed himself in front of Caesar and took the shot instead. Caesar watched helplessly as Antonio fell. Then, everything went dark. But instead of dying, Antonio woke up realizing that Caesar had been right all along. Caesar was living inside a dream. Antonio wasn't really human. He was just another part of Caesar's mind. A non-player character, NPC. A ghost in his own subconscious. His confusion deepened. Caesar took Antonio to the rooftop of the building. There, waiting for them, was the same manager from Life Extension. The man smiled and said, "You and Antonio have met before, hundreds of years ago. You're just characters in Caesar's mind. Everything here is a dream he created." Enraged, Antonio flipped the manager off and stormed away. Caesar watched him leave and then turned to the manager. The man revealed that when Caesar fainted outside the club, he had signed a contract with Life Extension. That night, Caesar had taken his own life. The doctors erased his memory of the act and froze him, preserving his consciousness in a dream for over a century and a half. Caesar listened in shock as the truth sank in. All of his struggles, his pain, even the girl he thought he loved, none of it was real. It was all part of his endless dream. As this realization hit him, Caesar made a choice. He saw Sofia, Nuria, Poloi, the people he loved, standing in his mind, waiting for him. He imagined Sofia hugging him, her warmth giving him courage, his face healed, scars fading, and he saw his friends smiling. Finally, Caesar stepped to the edge of the rooftop. With a deep breath, he looked back one last time at the dream world he had created. He thought of his loved ones and the life he wanted to leave behind. Then he leaped. As he fell, he saw the faces of those who mattered most, Sofia, Poloi, and Antonio, fading into the distance. And with that, Caesar finally woke up, back in the real world. A girl's voice gently asked him to open his eyes, and Caesar slowly did, starting a new chapter of his life, free from the dream at last. And to enter another dream world, you can just click on my recaps on the right. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and subscribe for future videos. As always, grab your popcorn, enjoy yourself, and see you soon, my friend.